Okay, let's take a look at the manufacturing process of a hot tub shell. We, like everybody else, begin with sheets of acrylic. It's basically the pretty paint job. We take this sheet, we put it up into a vac form, we heat it up, and basically stretch it down into the shape of one of our molds. Once the sheet cools, we pull it out and put it on one of our carts where it begins its trip through our facility. Here's a vac form sheet of acrylic, now in the beautiful shape of an Arctic spa. Let's take a look at it though. Up here at the lip, this sheet retains its original thickness. But the further we go from there, and especially into the footwell, the sheet becomes very, very thin. And it happens to all plastic. When you stretch it into a shape, it gets the thinnest at the furthest point from the stretch. Okay? It's what we do next, though, that truly makes us different. Okay, so let's talk for a second about why shell construction is so important. Here's the bottom line. Water's heavy. And unfortunately, so are lots of our family and friends. So we end up putting thousands and thousands of pounds of weight of water and people into a hot tub. Now, we saw earlier what happens to hot tub acrylic when we stretch it. It gets paper thin. Bottom line, that thin shell cannot carry, the amount of weight that goes into the shell by itself. So we need to strengthen that up with something. At Arctic, about 1/3 of our facility is dedicated to fiberglassing. And we are committed to building the thickest, strongest, heaviest hot tub shell in the industry. In these fiberglass booths, we spray on and hand roll multiple layers of a unique filler-free fiberglass mixture. When we're done, the result is what we call a self-supporting hull, meaning a shell that is capable of carrying the thousands and thousands of pounds of weight that goes into them without additional supports. So let's take a look at what most of the rest of the industry is doing. We've seen a significant decline in the number of manufacturers spraying fiberglass in the last number of years. Why? Because it's expensive. There's a tremendous amount of cost, labor, space in a factory required to spray fiberglass. And it's just reflected on many of them not doing it. So, what are they doing? Most of them are simply stretching plastic, right? You'll see thermoplastic sheet, but more commonly you'll see this stuff, which is just an ABS-backed acrylic sheet. Okay? This product starts out a little thicker than acrylic by itself, but like any plastic, when we stretch it, it's going to get thin. And any plastic, when stretched, is going to get thin to the point where it can no longer support the thousands and thousands of pounds of water and people that go into them. So, all of these manufacturers have to support or prop their shells up or hold that weight up with something. Let's go take a look and see what they're doing. Okay, so if we take a look under most spas, under most other spas, when you look under them, you're going to see something helping to support that shell. In some spas, you'll see 2x4s and or PVC struts, let's call them, propped up under the seats and the steps and the loungers to help hold up the weight. Now, the problem with those is everywhere you put one, you do create a stress point. And you can create flexing around those props, and flexing eventually leads to cracking. And that's a pretty big problem when you have a hot tub. The second and more commonly used material to help support shells is foam. And in a lot of tubs, you're going to see either the shell completely sprayed with foam, and or more commonly than that, you'll see that the entire cabinet filled. And they use this foam to help support the weight of the water. Okay? Now, in the Arctic spa, you are not going to see either of those two things. This shell is thick enough and strong enough to carry all of this weight to the point where you'll never see 2x4s or plastic props holding it up, nor will you see any foam on the shell. And it really does let us insulate our tubs a little bit differently than everybody else. Our insulation is perimeter. So our floor is completely insulated, the walls of the tub are completely insulated, and we do a very good job of insulating up around the lip as well. But we're insulating this tub very, very much like a house. Insulate the outside. Trap the warm air in, don't let it out. You know, another good analogy we can talk about is a freezer or a fridge. You know, it's a different concept because we're insulating cold, but same concept. Insulate perimeter. Trap the warm air, cold air in, and don't let it out.